Welcome back to my luscious accommodations, and today's snack time, story time, beverage review time is brought to you by more cowbell from my friend Tardisius. So I'll leave a link to his channel down below. Alright, so what are we looking at? We are looking at leftover orange chicken l'orange, or chicken l'orange. And that ties into loosely a story I'm going to tell you today about about me taking French language class in high school and how that all developed. But let's look at our beverage of the day. It is blueberry basil hard June kombucha. Now I posted the other video with the strawberry basil kombucha, strawberry blood orange kombucha. So this is the blueberry basil kombucha, and let's see. An exotic ferment made with only the finest organic teas and honey. June kombucha, organic tea, organic golden cane sugar, organic blueberry, organic basil, yeast, and bacteria. Probiotic lactobacillus. 178 calories. And the other one is also 178 calories. You don't believe me? You don't believe that? Alright, so we got 178 calories, 12 fluid ounces, and 5.6% alcohol by volume. Let's break into that. I smelled something fruity, but I missed the blueberry. It's not blue, it's fizzy. You know, to be honest, it tastes just like the other stuff. It's got a subtle fruitiness. Honestly, if you blindfolded me and gave me both of them, I couldn't tell you which one was which. So it's a fizzy, lightly sweet, fruity drink. That's pretty much all there is to say about that. I mean, again, I bought this at a beer store or a bar here in the Pennsylvania area, and I wouldn't pay that for it again. Again, this is just a curiosity. I don't know what non-alcoholic kombucha is supposed to taste like. So if anybody can tell me what kombucha tastes like without the beer, it's a pleasant drink. But it says made with honey, but the ingredient list doesn't list. Oh, okay. Filtered water, honey, organic tea. Okay. So I guess that's what kombucha is. Filtered water, honey, and organic tea. It's a fizzy, fruity drink. Also, my friend gave me 2 hot sauces, homemade hot sauces. Ooh, that's kind of separated. He said this one was more flavorful, and this one is mostly heat. So we'll give them a try too. Yeah. Alright, so let's try the... I actually had this the other night when I came into town and met with him. Or this same concoction. Not out of this bottle, but let's try it with some chicken l'orange. I don't know if chicken is chicken in French, but I know orange is a l'orange in French. So, and this has some considerable heat to it, but it's got a little... Yeah, it's mostly heat, not much. I mean, he put vinegar in it, so but it's not tart. You don't get the vinegar tart. I don't think he put any salt in it, but ooh, it's stout. All right. It's kind of like a roasted pepper flavor. There's a little roasted pepper flavor to it, but it's good. Good for just to kick it up a notch. All right. This smells pretty much the same. You smell a little bit of vinegar. You smell some smokiness, and you definitely smell the pepper, the chili. All right. Yeah, this one it tastes about the same, to be honest. I don't taste the vinegar in it. Don't taste the salt. It's about the same. No, it is has a different flavor profile, but the smoky pepper essence I can still, it is very similar. But anyway, it does give it just the right kick. This is from a local place called Hingwan. And we like Hingwan. My friends and I. So good. Okay. Story time. When I was in middle school, actually, some places in the country call middle school junior high. And so the junior high in my hometown went from 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. Some middle schools, junior highs in other states only go 7th and 8th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, because high school freshmen are 9th graders. But the way the school system in my hometown went, elementary was kindergarten through 6th grade, and then 7th, 8th, and 9th grade was junior high, and then high school was 10, 11, 12. But in junior high, I think my 9th grade year, they offered language classes, and you could take, I think they offered Spanish. Of course, I grew up in South Texas, and they offered French. And the one lady, she was French actually, who taught the class, was very eccentric. She wore, she wasn't, as far as I could tell, or as far as we were aware, she wasn't Muslim, but she wore a turban, and she wasn't Indian either. From India, not Native American. And she, I don't know. She had a different look to her. You can look at her and say, she doesn't look like she's from America. Originally from America. She had kind of like a pointed nose, and kind of strict. And she was kind of out of her element, teaching American teenagers French. I learned a few things from her, but we pretty much gave her a hard time. And honestly, I didn't learn much in that class. But the reason I chose French over Spanish, even though I lived in not predominantly, but a place that a lot of people spoke Spanish, which probably I would have had more benefit had I taken a Spanish class. I chose French because, one, I wanted to be different, and two, because my grandfather spoke French. I was born in Vietnam, and Vietnam had a lot of French-speaking people, and a lot of the Vietnamese people spoke French. And my grandfather, obviously spoke French. So I wanted, and my grandfather, I believe, was still alive at that time, and I wanted to learn how to speak French so I could speak French to my grandfather. So I took French classes. Anyway, so I didn't learn a whole lot in French class in middle school. I learned basic things, basic conversational stuff. I think she had us do like a scenario where we were ordering something at a restaurant in French, but beyond that, I was pretty much a goof off in French class. So then when I graduated or moved on to high school, the high school I went to offered French class too, and she was an American lady who spent quite some time in France, and so she could speak French fluently, but she mostly just taught, she taught French class in high school, and a very nice lady, but she was kind of a pushover. Dealing with us teenagers in America, and so we got away with a lot. I don't recall her giving much homework in that class, and we when there were any kind of tests or anything, I'm not saying we, but I did barely enough to pass. I think I got like a C in the class or something like that, just enough to pass, because at the time, foreign language classes were required if you were going the college track, and for some reason I chose to go the college track, even though I knew we didn't have money for me to go to college. I had no intentions of going to college. But that's just, in my family, that's just what you did. You prepared for college. But that's a different story. So anyway, I took French class with her for the 3 years and did horribly, horribly. But for that, she was a very nice lady and very kind of what the words for it, lenient. She was a very lenient teacher. I passed the class, and and the whole time I was taking this French class, it never really occurred to me that, well, I'm not really putting in the effort to try to learn French. I'm just kind of there as a novelty, and I'm thinking I'm never ever going to speak French to anybody, and I will never be in France. Never say never, right? I'm never going to be in France where I will ever need to know French. But I was there just to get a check in the box. Well, fast forward many years later. It was 1993, I believe, and my first deployment in the Navy, we ended up in Toulon, France. It's a coastal city in France, and I found myself, walking around, sightseeing and stuff like that in Toulon, France, and then we actually saw. Let me back up. We actually interacted with the French Navy, and it would have been very, very helpful if I had kept up or even applied myself to learning French when I was in French class in high school. But that's another story. Yeah, but I knew enough to function, and probably what I did use in French, in the French language, I probably didn't even need it because for the most part, the French people understood enough English for us to get by if we just spoke English. And pretty much anytime I interacted with the French people, doing shopping or whatever out in town, you pretty much, the international language of point, and use your fingers for, I want four, and point, I want four, that. I remember in town they sold these things that we called smash sandwiches, and they were a French bread, a baguette roll, French, just like a hot dog bun length French bread, and they cut it in half, and then they would put either whatever kind of meat you want, usually hamburger, and they would put fries on it and other condiments, lettuce or whatever, pickles or whatever, and they put it in this giant George Foreman grill, a panini grill is what it was, and they would smash it to like maybe a 3/4 inch, 1 inch thick sandwich. So I don't know what they were called, but we called them smash sandwiches. So basically all you needed to do when you were ordering was you just said, give me one of those. And you gave them the money, and I think they were like 2 francs, 2 French francs, and at the time a French franc was $2, so it was $4 for one of those smash sandwiches. But yeah, so that's my story about why I took French class in high school and never really used it effectively. All right, so I didn't bring my cowbell with me, so I'm going to insert cowbell here. That's all I got for you for now. Take care. Cheers.